So depending on when this video goes live, we are coming up to, or currently underway, with our first event of the year, versus other region based in Indonesia, also known as VSORG. And yes, this is the second Indonesian event for us, but luckily enough Namco have decided not to give us the rerun and have made some really nice nameplates, stamps and meters for all of us to gain. In today's video, I will be going through the basics of this event and how to complete it. Make sure to stay until the end to find out 4 different methods I like to use when completing this event, or you can just skip to this time here if you already know what the event is. Let us start with what the event is about. Unlike normal ghost battles, you don't choose individual players, you race preset regional ghosts, in this case all from Indonesia, and your wins contribute to event progression and rewards. The rewards range from the smaller exclusive titles and stamps to the limited edition nameplates, meters and even full tune tickets. To get the better stuff, we need to get all the way through this path. Every time we finish a race, we spin a wheel and we move either 1 to 3 spaces. Let's get into how we do that. By the way, before we even have access to this event, you will need to have at least 20 Ghost Battle trophies for it to unlock, and that's just on any car. It doesn't have to be in just one car, 20 Ghost Battle trophies overall on one data. When the day comes, once you open up the VSORG menu in the online Ghost Battle menu, it will be on the first thing on the left next to the bingo challenge. We'll have access to the map selection, we choose a map of our choice, and we move on. Next comes up a bunch of opponents we can verse, but unlike normal ghost battles, we can only choose one racer to go up against, like a crown battle. Pick your opponent, confirm, choose day or night, and your recommended horsepower for the track you choose, just like normal ghost battles. I'll have the horsepowers in the description if I can squeeze them in, hopefully. Hopefully you win the race because that will give us the +1 bonus on our spinner to move forward on our board. Now we have a chance to move 2 to 4 spaces ahead. Move our spaces, spin the bonus wheels for some extra stuff, and rinse and repeat until we get all the way to the end. There's a total of 3 regular stages and 3 challenge stages. A total of 6 stages, with each stage getting longer and longer. I'm not exactly sure how many spaces you have to move. If I find out, I'll put it on the screen here. But that's the basics really. Let's get into some of the advanced stuff. Apart from the meters we already know about from the newsletter, there is a secret meter that we don't get to see until we play the game that is at the very end of the board. It is usually around the same design but a different set of colours, but there's also another feature that is not explained very well by the devs, the wanted system. The wanted system is when a player loses to their selected car and creates a 1-star wanted level. Like Need for Speed, the higher the star level, the higher the spots we get to move on. The wanted star system goes all the way up to 5 stars, but players can lose to the opponent more times. Player A and Player B. Player A, let's say, loses 5 times to the racer. Then Player B comes along and beats them. The next time Player A moves on the board, they will have a bonus 5 spots gained on whatever they roll. And that applies to less or more losses to that racer. Player B will receive nothing but a +1 for winning and another +1 for defeating a wanted racer. So you would think just to race wanted racers whenever they show up. Not quite. Let me give you an insight on what guides are the best to use. The following are 4 different styles of guides I've used over the time playing the game that I highly recommend doing. The first one is the quick method. Just a warning first, this is the most expensive way to complete the path. So if money isn't an issue, use this method. Pick a map. I highly recommend just doing Wangan. Every race is the exact same with just one corner at the end that you'll have to get right. 70% of the time you'll get it. Once you pick your opponent, we retire immediately. This acts as a loss and creates the racer as a wanted driver. We retire to the same opponent 10 times to create a 5-star wanted level, and then we beat him. While retiring as well, we are still moving 1 to 3 spaces every time as well. But on the 11th attempt, once we beat him, we move 1 spot for winning, 1 extra spot for beating a wanted racer, and 10 spots for beating a racer who had won 10 times, meaning we have a chance of moving 13 to 15 spaces down the path. And then we choose another racer, rinse and repeat until you go all the way to the end. Another warning though, I would do this method only if you know the players around your venue are not going to take your wanted ghost, because anyone can race your ghost while you're using the retire method. They can just snipe the wanted racer from you, and you'll still get the extra moves, but you won't move as far as usual. Just be careful. The second method is the cheap method. Do this one to use the least amount of money to get through the path. This way takes double, if not triple, the time of the quick method, so just a warning for that. Basically, pick a track. Again, highly recommend using Wangan. You'll beat it 70% of the time for newer players. Retire immediately, and then on our next play, we pick the racer that we just retired to and win against them. This will give us a +1 for winning and a +1 for beating a wanted racer, meaning we have a chance to move 3 to 5 spaces instead of 2 to 4 and 1 to 3. Rinse and repeat, and we will move down the board quicker, but obviously longer since we actually are doing the races than compared to the quick method. The third method is the postpone method. I hardly use this method anymore, but it is useful if you just want to play 5 minutes and then come back later at a later time. Basically, pick any map, preferably ones that are popular, C1, Osaka, Hakone, and pick the toughest opponent you can find. There are a couple ways we can identify this. I'll explain it better how we can verse just easy opponents when doing ghost battles, but we are looking for tough players at the moment. You might just think to pick the driver with the highest rank. That may have been the method maybe like 5 years ago, but thanks to a bug that happened in 2022, people were able to increase their rank with only doing one ghost battle, all the way up to Hexa S, even though they have like 1,000 or 2,000 kilometer mileage. So here are the best ways to figure out what opponents are the toughest. Firstly, make sure they're using the recommended track horsepower, like 720 or 700 on C1, or 760 on Osaka or Hakone. Next thing we look for is the rank, preferably someone that is around S or SS rank. So that's usually the orange rank or the red rank. The pro players usually tend to use those kind of cars at the moment. Anything higher or lower is a risk. It could be beneficial. It could be a player that might have bought data that doesn't have the levels of a quadruple S or a Hexa S player. So that's why picking S to double S is usually the safe spot to go. Once we pick our fastest driver, we just retire the race, and we don't race him again. We just leave him there, and then hopefully the next time we come back to the venue, someone has already beaten that driver. So once we go into the VSORG menu and then beat a random person, all those moves will start to come in. Depending on how many people you versed or how many people you retired to, that's how many steps you would move on your next step. But that would only happen once. The last method is just the service method. This game is very expensive to play here in Australia, so most of us now use people from other countries to play the game for us at a price. It would roughly be around $300 to $400 to get all the items using either the quick method or the cheap method, but in other countries it may be way cheaper to play for them. If you think that $300 to $400 is too much for you, just send me a DM on TikTok or Instagram and I can look into the price for you to get all the items for you at a cheaper price. The final thing about VSORG is the leaderboard. For once, a leaderboard that doesn't really mean anything, apart from bragging rights on how much money you have. Basically, every car you beat adds 1 point to the individual car tally, and every car is different and has its own path, meaning that progress doesn't carry over from car to car onto your data. So if you have multiple cars and only have the money or time to do this once, make sure you pick the right one. I hope this explains everything. Feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions about anything else. I'm more active on TikTok and Instagram at the moment, so just send me a DM if you have any questions about the game. Otherwise, best of luck for the event. I think it starts on Thursday, which is February 5th, and it goes all the way to March 8th.